Thanks, everybody. All right, so there are other talks happening right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I know this is the announcement room, but if you wanted to go to somebody else's talk, you don't have to stay here. I won't be offended. Multi-track conferences, you have to choose. Is this loud enough? Am I close enough to the microphone for back there? Okay, good. So my talk was just introduced. This is not the title that it was introduced as. The title was, and now you understand React Server Components. I do have that talk, and it was great at React Conf and React Rally. If you want to watch that, you can. But I have a new one that is very closely related. So if you wanted to learn server components and that, you're still in the right place. But I just thought that this would be more in line with the conference's goals of unmasking, what is the phrase? Something complexity? Navigating complexity, yeah. So we're going to navigate some complexity in the history of the web. Before I get started, though, I want to mention, you see this cool shirt I'm wearing? This was actually, raise your hand if you were at Epic Web Camp this week. Yes, these people are awesome. We had the most amazing experience up Provo Canyon at Aspen Grove. This was the shirt, and I have a bunch of leftovers. I've got one large and like 5 mediums. So if you come and talk to me, you can get a shirt like this. Yeah, okay, we already got dibs on large. I just have mediums left. I don't want to take them home. That's why I brought them here. I actually brought a bunch of other swag that you can grab at the registration desk too, because I don't want to take that stuff home. Leftovers. Okay, then one other thing I want to mention, and that is epicreact.dev. How many of you have a license to epicreact.dev? All right, sweet. When I used to ask that question and get like people's hands raised and be like, oh man, not as many as I thought. And I'd feel kind of disappointed. Now I look at that and I'm like, wow, look at all the people I can still sell this thing to. But epicreact.dev is a great place to learn React. And you are in for a real treat in like a week and a half. I'm launching V2. It's all React 19 stuff. So even if you're pro at React, lots of really exciting things coming to React 19. And so yeah, you wanna jump on that. So look forward to that. Okay, before we get started, some of you have been sitting for a little bit, and I want you to stand up, please. Everybody stand, please. I've spoken at this conference 3 times-ish. We've done this every time, so some of you are used to this. Put your arms out in front of you like this, both of them, and bend down. Come back up. This is called exercise. We're going to do 12 of these together. I want you to count out loud with me. This isn't just like a gimmick, by the way. This is science. Blood flow helps your brain think better, and so that's what I want you to do right now. Okay, count out loud with me. Ready? 1, 2, awesome. 3, 4, 5. You're doing so great. 6, 7, 8. Some of you are really going, 9. Some of you are like, no, 11 and 12. All right, reach over your head as high as you can, and then stretch over to one side and over to the other. Awesome, you can sit down. I've gotten this thing on like my Google News feed when you swipe over to the left. It says you're not getting old, you just need to stretch. And I'm not sure how I feel about this, getting this in my news feed or my feed or whatever. But yes, you need to stretch, you need to move your body, and now your brain has blood flow, so we can learn this. And this talk is going to be like pretty intense, by the way. It's going to be great, and it's going to be fast, so let's get started. Story time, I worked at Domo. The guy who worked at, or is from Remy, he mentioned, he said, oh my gosh, it's Merritt Christensen. I love that guy. And Dave Geddes, holy smokes, these are my buddies I worked with at Domo. And while I was at Domo, I was still an intern. We were building this chart builder. At the time, it didn't look like this, huh, guys? This is the best screenshot I could get. But it was this page. They just redesigned it later. But I was asked to add a checkbox to this page. Not this one, but it was like this one. And I like thinking about adding a checkbox to a page. I want you to just ask yourself how long you think something like that would take. Here's the code for that page. We're going to review it in detail, starting at the top And then there was some code over here. Just kidding. This wasn't the code at all. I had ChatGPT generate this. This is a backbone base view is what we had on that page. Yeah, Merrick and Dave remember this. It was 2,000 lines long. And then we had another view where my checkbox was supposed to go that extended this, that was another 1,500 lines long. And then you also had the model and everything. So based on this, and maybe some of your own nightmares and experiences, how long do you think it took to add a checkbox to this page? A week? 15 minutes? That's, yeah, okay. Other ideas? 2 weeks. This intern took 2 weeks to put a checkbox on the page. It did take 15 minutes to get the checkbox there. But there was another piece that made it just an awful 2-week experience. And like, this is how it felt, yes. Why did it take so long? It wasn't the UI piece. Like, Backbone wasn't that bad. The base views were huge, and there were a lot of complexity around that. What made it really hard, though, was managing the network. The data loading and mutation. Getting that state of what that checkbox should be into the model, and then piping that into the view. And then when that's checked and it's persisted, getting it back to the back end. And it wasn't like when the code was done, there wasn't a ton of code needed, but it was just like understanding how the heck all of that was wired together that was really, really difficult. And so I want to make that disappear entirely, just go away. That is what we are going to explore today. So from here, I'm going to be jumping into a mini workshop that I put together for Epic React called React and the Vanishing Network. You can go through this on your own later if you would like. You clone the repo and you have instructions you can go through. This is a very similar experience to what you'd go through if you were on Epic React, except there'd be a video right here of me explaining it. But you don't need that because I'm right here right now. So we're going to jump into this. What we're trying to do here is explore where did the network go over the years that we've been building web applications. We're going to do this by building a counter. So it will increment and decrement, and we're going to start with the way we used to build applications, multi-page apps. We didn't call them multi-page apps because it was the only way you could build an app. It was just like a website is what we called it. So here I'm using some modern tools. We're using Hano and stuff like that, but the idea is the same. So we're going to get our count from the database, and then we're going to render that in this HTML. I want to put that in an H1 because I want it to look big. And then we'll say, here's my form. To update that count, we'll have the action be at /update count. And then we have our method, and then we have 2 submit buttons. Did you know you could do that in a form, 2 submit buttons? And they can have a name and a value, and whichever one you click on is what the value will be. That was pretty cool when I discovered that that was possible. So now we've got our count. Awesome. Love that. You click on this, does not work. We got a 404 because we don't have our backend piece done. So let's do that. We're going to make our post. This is also, by the way, like a slight advertisement for Cursor AI, by the way. I am not paid by Cursor, but you're going to watch me do some things that are going to blow your mind because Cursor is amazing. So we're going to post to update or handle a post to update count. The request body, this is actually going to come as form data. So we're going to get the form data for the change. So whichever button was clicked is the change that we want to make. And then we're going to change the count. And we're going to do a post redirect get. Who knows what a post redirect get is? What that pattern's all about? My OG's in the room. Yeah. If you don't, come ask me about it later. I don't have time to talk about it now. But that's why you have that stupid confirm resubmission alert. So we can talk about that. My buttons are in a weird order here, but that's okay. Increment is doing what it's supposed to do. Decrement what it's supposed to do. Thanks a lot, Cursor. There we go. Okay, cool. Pretty simple. I want you to look at this and say, where is the network here? Well, looks like we have like some network stuff going on right here, right? We're pointing to a particular URL, and that is right here. There's a little indirection right there, but it's actually like pretty lightweight as far as the network is concerned. And that's because the browser is managing all of this stuff for us. The browser will handle race conditions and resubmissions and all of that stuff. So that's nice, but there's a problem. There are actually a number of problems. The problem is that we want to be able to not do a full page reload and manage focus. Like for example, if I wanted to increment this 3 times in a row, and I'm a keyboard user, I'm going to tab, tab, increment, and then I got to tab, tab, increment, tab, tab, increment, because I'm getting a full page refresh, and we don't have anything managing that focus. So that's not awesome. It'd be cool to handle that. And then we want like animations and stuff. And this, certainly when we moved away from this in large, it was because of those animations and things. And now we have view transitions, and it's super cool. The platform's always evolving. But let's move on and add some JavaScript to this page. So I'm going to come over here, and we will set the playground for this part. So first, let's go over to our UI and the index right here. So we're going to write some JavaScript for this so that it will intercept the form submission, prevent the default behavior, and submit it as a HTTP request with fetch. So we're going to say, hey, when the DOM content is loaded, then let's get our form, and we'll add a event listener, submit handler. We'll prevent that default behavior, grab the form data. But here's the thing. The form data of the form, when we create this form data object, it's not going to have the submitter, which button was clicked on. So now we got to handle that. If the submitter, event submitter exists, so they clicked on a button, then we're going to say form data append, and the event submitter name, set that value. There we go. See, that's the sort of thing that if you're using Remix, Remix does this for you, which is kind of nice. Great, and then we take that form action, whatever that URL is, because we want to preserve the old behavior, so we're going to leave the form the way that it is and make sure it continues to work. We're just going to take that form action and that form method and turn that into a fetch request. We'll pass that form data, and, whoops, yep, there we go. We've got a couple other things we need to do here with this response. If the response is okay, then we need to update the UI because we just made a mutation, right? And here we go. So we'll take that data, we'll update the count to say count data.count. And if there was an error, you can imagine for yourself that you could handle that error nicely and all that. Okay, we'll handle this here in just a second. I think that should work. Now we just need to get this on the page. And so actually, before we get past this, I want you to look at this code and think, where is the network code? Like, this is actually a lot more stuff we have to handle, and we're not even handling edge cases. Like, we're going to ignore those, pretend they don't exist, because that's what we did. And that's what we often do. But yeah, there are a lot of issues with like the logic that we have for this form. But lots of code that we have to have that we didn't have to have before. And you're going to have something like this for every interaction that you want to progressively enhance. That's why I call this a PEMPA. This is a progressively enhanced multi-page app. I made that up. Nobody calls it that, but I do. So we're going to add an ID here, so we can select that. Here's some more indirection for you. We're going to add our ID for the counter form. And then we also want to add some pending state. But we'll get to that here in a second. So that's what that one's about. And then finally, we want to add a script to get this onto our page. This is also network-related stuff, like getting the right code onto the right page. That's like I can't tell you how many hours I've spent in my life getting the right code on the right page, and not too much of it, and all. Yeah. So this is also network stuff we got to worry about. Okay, but then here, if we save this right now, it's technically going to work, but we're still getting a full page refresh here. I'm actually kind of surprised by that because it shouldn't be doing that. It's probably oh, you know what? It's probably because it's broken. Hold on a second. Let me just turn this off. Go to console. Okay, yeah. So we're getting a 404 on our UI index because we need to serve that. Some more network stuff. Your CDN is going to be like pre-configured for this, so it's not really a big deal. But again, like this is just more stuff we have to think about, getting the right stuff onto the page. Okay, so now we try to click this and it's busted, and that's because we are doing this post redirect get so that we can handle that form submission. But see, now we're expecting this to return JSON from our client-side JavaScript. So the trick is, though, that we care about progressive enhancement. So what if the browser doesn't have JavaScript enabled? That mattered a lot more years ago. Or what if the JavaScript hasn't loaded yet and they already submit the form before it's finished loading? So we want to handle both of those cases. So here we're going to get the updated count. And then we're going to say if the request header accept includes text HTML, then we will do that redirect. Otherwise, we'll return JSON for that updated count. So there we go. We've got progressive enhancement. This thing totally works. No more full page refreshes. And we're in a good place. And now that we've got JavaScript on the page, we can do even better with our pending UI. Like before, if we don't have JavaScript, this will still work. And that's why progressive enhancement is awesome. But you'll notice like the best that we can get as far as a pending state is this little flash of our loading spinner and our favicon changing to a loading spinner. So let me go over to our network, and we're going to throttle this slow 3G so you can see that a little bit better. So like we're all pretty familiar with that. But we want to do better. We want to have it like localized to where the pending UI is happening. So we're going to wrap this, these buttons in a div. And yep, there we go. And then we can go select that in our UI here. So here's our counter buttons. And then when you submit the form, we'll say style that to 0.6, and then we'll come down here and we'll style it back to 1. You'd probably want to wrap this in a try-catch to handle those situations, but like, let's be honest, lots of the times you probably didn't and just pretended that it always worked perfectly. But now, if I turn on throttling, then, oh, it's definitely not working, probably because I didn't refresh the page here. Let's try it again. No? Oh, right, haha, JavaScript is turned off. That's beautiful, actually. It still works. Why is it working? Okay, so there we go. Let's slow 3G now, or 4G. And I'm not seeing that behavior like I wanted to. I messed something up. We're going to spend 5 seconds on this, and then we'll move on. Check the console. Check the, thank you. There's an error. Let's see, what is the error about? Reading null. Okay. Counter buttons. Is that? See, this is the world that we used to live in, is this level of indirection. So no, that seems right. By ID. What's wrong with, oh, that was a class. Yeah, I'm going to blame that on cursor. This needs to be an ID. Thanks a lot, cursor. Okay, let's try this again now. Hooray, now we get localized pending states. So like some people are like, wow, I hate JavaScript so much. Nobody here, right, because you're literally at a JavaScript conference. But some people are just like, well, we should just do everything the way we used to. But like this is actually a much better improved experience over what we had before. The user experience is better. And so we're gonna deal with the JavaScript. I like JavaScript a lot, but we're gonna deal with it whether you like it or not because the user experience is better. Okay, so this is good, but there are a bunch of touch points now. We have our script tag right here. We have a lot of indirection with our UI. We have to handle not only the like progressive enhancement case, but also the fallback for if things aren't working. We have to serve our JavaScript, and then all of this code that we have to deal with. And on top of that, we've got a lot of duplication going on, and this is why we moved on from PIMPAs to SPAs, is because of this duplication. Because what if somebody gets a task that says, hey, you know what, instead of the colon, I'm a very excited person, I want an exclamation point there. And so now it's count 0, awesome. It works, ship it, and then the users come along and they click increment, and they're like, wait, that changed, that's different. Why did that change? What the heck? And now you got a bug. Oh my gosh, I forgot. We have this duplication. I got to go fix it over here too. And like the pending states, and what if this fails? Well, now our opacity never gets set to 1. I wish I could tell you I never made any of these mistakes, but I'm telling you I made all of them. And it would be cool if we could like just not make these mistakes, or we had some sort of way to not make these mistakes. So here's a way. What if we just blow all of this away, and we just make the client-side JavaScript the source of truth for all of our UI? That sounds interesting. Let's do that. I keep swiping over there. We need it over here. And so we leave the PEMPA world. We leave the MPA world altogether, and we get into the SPA world. And now we're like, hey, let's just delete this. This is no longer server-generated. We are now going to just have an API that is a JSON API. So this is now our count. and it returns the count. And then our update count, we don't care about form data. What's form data? What? What is that? No, we are JSON people. Yep, this is our body. And now we've got our body change. Yeah, sweet. Okay, I'm happy with this. What post redirect get? What is that? Nobody cares about that. This is JSON API. Love this. All right, awesome. And now we need an index HTML. So I'm going to bring that in. Oh yeah, and let's make sure if the server doesn't have anything, then let's send the index HTML because we got a client-side router now that is going to handle all this stuff. So 404s do not exist anymore. It's all 200s with the index HTML. And that is the way that we build web apps these days. Okay, cool. So now come over to our index, doing React stuff. Awesome. Let's go to our public index right here. This was all just moved from the stuff we had before. We're not using any tools in this experience, by the way, so that's why we got import maps and things like that. But yeah, so now we have our counter, and look at this beautiful React component. Wow, this is awesome. We got a reducer as well. This is sweet. Okay, so what we're going to do now is handle these action states, or these actions that can happen. Okay, so we got our fetch start. I love writing React. It's so awesome. Look, I have all my reducers stuff going on. I can throw this invalid action type because I'm not using TypeScript like some sort of masochist, or I shouldn't say that. If you're not using TypeScript, you're not a masochist. I just don't understand you. Okay, so then we have our use effects. So that we can load up our initial fetch count. Awesome. We're going to dispatch the fetch start so we have a good pending UI while that happens. See, we care about the user experience. We're going to show them a pending UI. Awesome. And then we're going to go make that fetch. It's not to API count. It'll just be to count. And then we get our data, and we dispatch the fetch success. We're going to handle the error also. Look at us thinking about the user. Then we got to call the fetch count. Here's a little tip. You know how you can't use a wait inside of a use effect because then it'll return a promise. It doesn't like that. But you like also look at this and you're like, but this is returning something, and somebody's going to be like, he forgot to return a wait or whatever. You can do void, and now it's like, I did think about this, and I don't care about that promise. That's what I do. Just a little fun little tip to throw in there. Okay, so then we also have to handle the update scenario. And so we're going to handle that cat. Yep, thank you. We're going to say update start. We're going to go get, we want update count. This will be a post, and we're going to stringify JSON. I love JSON. Man, thank you so much, Crockford. Man. Okay, then we dispatch. We get our updated count. We have our error. Awesome. Whoops, that was a misclick. And then we have to handle this error or this loading state. So if we are loading and we haven't actually set the count yet, then let's show a loading state. Otherwise, we'll just like keep them showing what we were before. That's fine. And then if there's an error, we'll show the error. Awesome. And the form is gone. But we don't care about forms, right? Because buttons have click events. We can just listen to those. Let's do that. Let's just listen to the click event. Okay, sweet. So now you see that little flash of loading, but we don't care about that. At least we can put this on a CDN, and now like users are right next to it. They can get that loading state right away. So that's great, right? That is the world that we live in. And this thing totally works. There's no full page refresh, whatever. And now I've blown away my duplication. Awesome. But my goodness, look at all of this stuff that we had to do. Yuck. And this is why we all use TanStack query now, because of all this nonsense that probably some of you have in your code base now. It's not fun, this use effect stuff. But, I mean, like it does improve some things. We don't have that duplication problem. Somebody comes in and says, you know what? I want it to say count with an exclamation point. You change that in one place, and it's going to be there. And so we simplified a lot of things for the developer, made things a little worse for the user. But we also made some things worse for the developer because now we're managing so much network stuff. Yeah, that's interesting. What if we could do better than this? Keep on swiping back. Okay, what if we could? And you know what? We can. Because now we've got frameworks. And frameworks will handle so much of this stuff for us. Frameworks are awesome. And I'm the only one in the world who calls this a PESPA. This is a progressively enhanced single-page app. This is a Remix-like API that I made up, where now we have this loader and action and then our component all in one file. The loader and action run on the server only, And then this counter, this is going to be server rendered. And so now we don't send a loading state to our users. We can show the final state, and this looks good. And we also care about progressive enhancement. All of this stuff will work. So here we've got our count to do. Let's load our count. We're going to import our DB. We're going to get our count from the DB. And now we've loaded our count. Internal server error. What did I do wrong? Import DB. I think this might be one directory up. There we go. And our count is still to do. I do not know why. Sorry, oh, yes, thank you. Was that Alex? Thank you, Alex. So here, we're going to get our loader data. And I don't have routing in here, so we're going to specify where we're getting that from. So now we've got our count, and we got to set that. Where is the count? Count, data count. Oh, right. Use loader data right here. Yes, that's what I want. No, gosh dang it. All right. Data, use loader data. There we go. Okay, now we got our count, our initialized count. And then we also, because we care about progressive enhancement, we also care about forms again. So we're going to use this cool use fetcher hook. We'll say fetcher.form. We actually don't need this. And we're going to have our method and our action. Awesome. And then we have our count. And we also, from the fetcher, have access to our pending state. So we still get that progressive enhancement piece where this is doing better than the browser can do by itself. And so now, our action needs to be built out. So let's do that really quick. Get our DB, form data. We care about form data again because progressive enhancement matters. And then we just send the success. And the post redirect get is going to happen for us. Okay, let's see. I messed up one more thing, I think. Whoop. I've got 2.5 minutes, and then we'll get to the RSC stuff. Counter. Oh, did I think maybe it's count. Update, count. Oh, shoot, I forgot. Update. Nope, count. Oh, you know what? Actually, it doesn't matter. It'll work in any case. But pretend it works. I'm not sure why. Here, you know what? We don't have to pretend. I'm going to fast forward us to the finished version. Here we go. And it works. Yeah, there we go. Hooray, thank you, preparation. So, but like now look at this. Where'd the network go? There's not a lot of places. We've got routing and stuff, and so like the network kind of goes along with the routing that we have, but there's not a lot of networking stuff going around here anymore. We've moved on. And that checkbox that took me 2 weeks to finish will now be just such a simple task because it's all co-located right here. I see where it is. I can very easily load something from the back end, and I can persist it back to the back end right here. And I don't have to worry about that networking logic. That's really nice. But it's not perfect. And it took me a while to realize that Remix isn't perfect, and we need React Server components. And this is the really big thing that I want you to take away from this is if I wanted to take this counter and publish it to NPM or reuse it throughout my application, maybe this isn't a counter, maybe this is the favorite heart on X or X Twitter, however you want to call it, or like it's just some reusable thing. How would I do that? Because this is tied to the route. And so I've got this pattern I've been using in Remix called full stack components, and that's like pretty good. But that association between the route and the data loading and mutations and the UI, I would love for that to go away. And that's what React Server Components enables us to do. So with React Server Components now, in modern React that is coming to a framework near you soon, we can do this. Now I've got my counter, and this is an async component now. I can get it directly from the database. No longer do I need a separate function. I just stick it right here. Hello, PHP, I guess. I don't know. That's the thing people say nowadays. And then I can, here, let's bring in the DB. I also have this. This is going to be my action. I could inline it if I want to be crazy like that, but I don't. We're going to add use server so that this update count can be accessible by the client. And we can call it from the client by saying use server, now this function is accessible by the client. So it's just like my action. It gets the form data. We take that change. We're going to call db change. With the change. and then we return our nice message and all of that. And where'd the network go? It's totally gone. There's no network stuff. And in fact, I need to restart the server because of some magic that I'm doing to make this work. That network is gone. And we still care about progressive enhancement. I have minus 2 minutes, so I will be done very shortly. But like progressive enhancement is still a thing. If we don't have JavaScript on the page, this still will work. But we don't have any, like there's no routing even. The URL doesn't even matter in this world. We still care about the URL. There will still be a router. But I can publish this to NPM. Any of you can use this. And on top of this, I don't even have to worry about the script tags that are on the page. In fact, none of my code has made it to the browser yet. The only code that's in the browser is some React stuff. But what if I do want some stuff in the browser? Well, now I have this use client thing. I don't have to figure out like how to get the script tag on the page. I just use client. And I can have some client interactivity. So let's bring in the pending div. And I can compose this server-side code with client-side code just like it's React components, because that's exactly what it is. And here if we throttle, this is my last little demo. It does still work. And I don't have to worry about the script tags. So we've gotten rid of the fetch requests and the script tags and like the action posting, all of that stuff, we don't have to think about anymore. That's why React Server Components rock. So that's it for me. I just want to say one more thing. You're super. Thank you.